Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're doing great. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a film review. Now this is a very controversial film directed by a very controversial director. This is a 2002 film directed by Gaspar Noe and this is Irreversible. Now Irreversible centers around three main characters. They're Marcus, played by Vincent Cassel, Marcus's wife Alex, played by Monica Bellucci, and Albert Dupontel, who plays Pierre, who's the friend of these two. So the film is about three characters, one day in their life, and the tragic events which occur at the end of this night. And this is in chronological order too. So the start of the film is the finish, and the finish of the film is the start. So this is the first film with this type of structure. There's a few other films that do similar things, but I haven't seen them, so this is a very new experience for me. So we start off with Pierre and Marcus, and they're at a gay sex club, and they are furious. They are just really, really angry. We're not sure why to start with, but they're looking for a guy nicknamed Tapeworm, and we don't know what Tapeworm has done to these two, but it must have been pretty bad because these guys are absolutely fuming. And so they're going around this nightclub asking these people at this sex club whether or not they've seen Tapeworm. And so they keep going around. And as they're going around, Gaspar Noe uses the camera in a way that things are twirling around. So you're going upside down, you're going sideways, you're going forward, then you're going upside down, diagonal, and you start getting a dizzy sort of feeling, and that fit the mood perfectly. These guys are furious, and you really get the feeling by how the camera is working that things are spiraling out of control, and only bad things are going to happen as a result. And the actual atmosphere, it's a very, very dirty, seedy sort of atmosphere. It's in this gay sex club. There's sexual acts going on everywhere, and it's just a really grubby feeling. And the camera work really kind of brings out the grubbiness in it. And you start, I didn't feel nausea, but a lot of other people have said they felt nauseous. And that, once again, kind of suits the mood to the actual atmosphere and what these two are going through. So Pierre and Marcus, they find tapeworm, and there's a little scuffle that breaks out. Well, they think they found tapeworm, and a scuffle breaks out, and brutal events happen as a consequence, and so it changes their lives forever. And so we go from that nightclub scene, not a nightclub, a sex club scene, and there's a few other scenes, and then we get to another brutal scene. I'm not going to give this away, but for all of you who know about this film, you know what I'm talking about. This is a really hard to watch sort of scene. But this is shot very differently. Unlike the twirling sort of nausea feel to the sex club scene, this scene is shot very differently. It's painstakingly graphic. It is just still. It's like you're a fly on the wall. You wish you could do something to help this person, but you can't. All you can do is just sit there, helpless, watching, and you can't move away. Like, there's no camera shying away. It's just bang. Um, yep, you're going to watch this. And no matter how brutal it is and how helpless this person is, uh, the director is not going to shy away. You're going to have to go through the misery that this person's going through. And it's a very hard scene to watch, but once again, it's a very well shot scene. And people might say, is the violence necessary? Is the graphic nature necessary? I think it is because it has more of an impact. Gaspar Noé, he shows the harsh realities of life, that bad things can happen to good people at any moment. And I feel that the violence is necessary. It's not glorifying the violence, it's showing the violence for what it is, and that is horrifying. So this is not your hostile kind of violence where they glorify it a bit, but this is just brutal, horrifying, shocking violence, and you're not going to feel good after watching this because it just has so much of an impact. There's a quote from the movie Seven by John Doe, played by Kevin Spacey, and I know it's a pretty weird sort of thing to quote a psychopath like that, but he said these days you can't tap someone on the shoulder to get their attention, you have to hit them with a sledgehammer. And that's really what this film does. Audiences are a lot harder to shock these days as opposed to the days of 1970. So uh, Gaspar Noé doesn't tap you on the shoulder; he hits you with a sledgehammer, and you go down, and you do not get up until this film finishes. It's just one of the most unique films, most shocking films, but one of the best films I've ever seen. This is an absolute masterpiece. Now, I'm not going to well, it's technically just a love story, but I'm going to put this in the horror category because this really is a film of the horrors of anger and what anger can do to us as a person. We can be the most mild person, but when someone we love is brutally assaulted, we can become a monster. And once anger controls us, we lose all sense of what's right and what's wrong, and we're just focused on one thing, and that is cold-blooded revenge. And we don't we're not aware of the consequences that these actions of ours can bring. So it's definitely a horror element in it, and that is the human sort of mind once anger sets in. So yeah, I'm going to put this in the horror category. Now, a lot of times in life, well, for me, sometimes I'll say, oh, I wish I could go back in time and change things. And I'd do this differently. I'd do that differently. I'd say this at the right moment, and think maybe things would have changed. Well, we get the opportunity for the characters to go back in time to change things, but the heartbreaking thing is that we can go back in time, but we're not going to be able to change the future. And that's the beauty of this chronological order sort of movie, is that we start off with the really bad things, but then we go back and yeah, we wish we could change certain things. What we'd change this to avoid this situation, we'd change that to avoid that situation. But these characters are unaware, obviously, and only the viewer could change something. But yeah, the heartbreaking thing is that we can't change anything, and that these people, while they don't know what's going to happen, we do. So it just has more of an impact. And the brutal scenes, there's only two of them, but they're extremely brutal. But once those scenes are over, it's pretty much a mild sort of movie. But it is a very hard sort of movie to watch nonetheless because of events that unfolded later that night. So while it's a loving sort of romantic movie, you can't help but feel sorry and sadness for them because you know what's going to happen. So you know their happiness isn't going to last forever. So yeah, the chronological order really made this film even more powerful. And it is a great film. It is a film that I can't recommend to everyone, but if you want something that will stay in your mind for a very long time, then definitely give this one a look. There's only, as I said, two scenes of brutality, but these are extreme brutality. And yeah, they are shot in a certain way that will bring even more nausea to the actual event. And you really live the event. Unlike a lot of other films where you're just watching it, for this film you are actually experiencing it as well, which makes it even more shocking. So it is an extreme film, but it is a work of genius. It is a masterpiece, I have to say, and I'm glad I watched it. And this is the reason why I love French cinema so much. They just go to the length that other nations won't go, and so I hope a lot more French directors get inspiration from directors like Gaspar Noe and Pascal Lidrier, and they just have the courage to go to those lengths that Hollywood won't. And so yeah, I recommend this film. It is a very, very good one, and yeah, Gaspar Noe did a really good job with this. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you later. Bye.